afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use dual head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun. Well viewers, I don't know what's come over me, but all of a sudden I feel like I want to be Ian Seabrook from the HubNut channel. And so here is a 2007 Citroen Xsara Picasso 1.6 HDi Desire. I know he likes these sort of cars, and I'm very grateful to Wayne, who's in the background over there, who's had 2 cars appear on the channel already, for giving me the opportunity to do this. I know we don't normally talk about this sort of thing on the channel, but since we're here you know, we're looking into the mentality of Mr Ian Seabrook, who is a wonderful man. I have actually met him a couple of times. Then we'll have a look at this. These are very firmly in No Budget Reviews territory now. And Wayne, of course, all his cars are completely immaculate, and this is no exception. He's already in a couple of weeks he's owned this. He's put a new stereo in the car, he's cleaned it top to bottom, and this is a car that has had 1 owner from new. And yeah, I mean, it wasn't even close to 1,000. It was actually a little bit less than that. So it's quite remarkable, really. Of course, the issue with these is that if you go anywhere near the Birmingham Clean Air Zone or the London Ultra Emission Zone or anything like that, but it's not going to work out very well for you, because you're going to have to pay. But if you don't go into those zones, perhaps you might want to consider them, because the prices of these are just, at the moment, really, really low. They were the best-selling small MPV at the time that this car was made in 2007. It's obviously incredibly clean. We'll just have a look at the boot. The boot is very big. You just don't really see cars like this anymore. Everyone's gone to SUVs, so you don't really see cars like this at all. We've got the original trolley in here as well. You have a little trolley that you can put your things on, and obviously a sign of a well cared for Xsara Picasso. You've still got the trolley, and there it is. Spare will be sort of down here. The amount of stuff in here that, you know, what Wayne's got in here can show you just how much you can fit into one of these. It's remarkable. The Desire was sort of the mid-range spec of these. There was also an exclusive VTX that would have been above this depending on the year, and they made these all the way from 2000 to 2010. So the car lived a much longer life than the Xsara on which it was based. We actually get in here. Mr Quirk from the Planet Auto channel has told me a couple of things about these. One of them is that you can lift up the mat here, and there's a storage compartment in this side. There's also one on the other side, so very practical in that respect. And if we pull this lever here, the seat will, might actually need 2 hands for that. The seat will actually Wayne will demonstrate it for me, because doing it with 1 hand is impossible. The seat will tumble forward like that, and if you really want, you can pull it forward again. There we go, and you can tumble it forward, and you can even remove it. We won't actually remove it, but the red lever there is for removing the seat. So they're very, very practical. I'll get in the other side so I can show you how much space there is, and we'll have a look at the picnic tray as well. Thank you, Wayne. Okay. Obviously this side as well has the underfloor storage, just like the other side. If I just climb in, it's very easy. The roof is a very, very high roof on this. Wayne's quite tall, so the driver's seat's quite far back. If I move this up, you can see, just like on an old Van der Pla Princess from the mid-70s, we have a little picnic table here. This is not in wood, it's in sort of molded plastic, but the interior of this car is worn exceptionally well. It's only velour, no leather or something, but you can see all the little touches they have. They've got the plastic bottle holders here, like you could put other types of bottle in there, not just plastic, but you know what I mean. There's no center armrest, but you could put the seat down if you wanted more space. And we've got pockets at the bottom of here as well. And you could make this into a van quite easily. The only thing I would say is if you're the centre passenger, then you're going to have to sort that out with the seatbelt. That's the same for all cars like this. So if we come into the front, again, incredibly easy to get in and out. Bit like an EP3 Honda Civic, the gear levers on the dash here. Wayne's very kindly left the ignition on so we can see the instruments. The dash cam is there as well, of course. And they're all in the middle. So that obviously made the car cheaper to build for left and right hand drive. The only thing is, you don't get a rev counter on this trim. You'd only get that on the exclusive or the VTX. You don't get it on this car, which is a little bit mean in my opinion. Also, the electric windows, there's only two of them. This is an automatic one. This is an aftermarket stereo. Wayne's just had replaced. Again, enormous glove box. Unlike a lot of modern French cars, that's the original stereo. It would look like that. But obviously, it doesn't have all the things you need for daily driving for most people. So we've got a very flat floor. The handbrake is, oh, don't drop the phone. The handbrake is just here, and we've got ashtray there, and then your 12-volt socket to the left-hand side of it there. That control is actually the same as on a Peugeot 407 Coupe, if you can believe that. And these indicator stalks look quite familiar as well. Some of the cars came with automatic lights and wipers, and this one doesn't. It's only a mid-spec one. But the control for the stereo with the SRC and things is very helpful. The key, if I just pull the key out, it's actually very similar to the one in the Toyota Aygo, though the blade's a bit different. So all sorts of common parts in here. It's a bit like a Toyota Yaris in that you have to look kind of down and to the left where the instruments are, but they're not sort of you know, miles away down this little pod. They're a lot closer to them. The service has been done, just so you know, viewers. It has all been done. It's just sometimes these indicators don't work particularly well. Right, I'll just pause the video here and we'll have a look under the bonnet. So this is the 1.6, a DB6 engine, also known as the DLD 416 if it's in a Ford. Co-developed by Ford and Peugeot Citroen. Now, these engines are notorious for having a number of problems, such as if you don't change the oil frequently, if you don't change the cam belt frequently, you know, DPFs go wrong on them as well. But this one, because it's one owner from new, has been very well serviced, and that should mitigate a lot of the issues that they have. It develops in this car 110 horsepower. There was also a 92 brake horsepower version of this engine available. The other Forbidden Fuel engine was a 2-litre HDi that developed 90 horsepower, but that's an older type of engine. This engine only came in about 2004. This is a facelift car. You can tell by the little bits of chrome and things like that. About the same time as the engine was upgraded, or well, I don't know. Depends on your point of view as to whether this is an upgrade or not. I mean, some people would say so, some people would not. It's just really, it's just random opinion. But it is quite well crammed in there. There's not an awful lot of room to work on it, but that's the same with a lot of modern cars. So no surprises there really. Right viewers, let's see if Mr Seabrook would enjoy the driving experience of this Xsara Picasso. I know Mr Quirt from Planet Auto did. He said they actually handled okay, so, you know, we shall see. So this is the 1.6 HDi with 110 horsepower. There were other engines available. First was a 1.6 8-valve petrol engine with 95 horsepower. That engine was replaced in 2005 with a 16-valve version which developed 110 horsepower. There was also a 1.8 litre engine, which also was replaced by the 1.6 16 valve engine, that developed 117 horsepower. The top petrol engine was a 2 litre, only available with an automatic gearbox. That developed 137 horsepower. At launch, the forbidden fuel engine was a 2 litre HDi with 90 horsepower, but that actually only lasted again until about 2004-2005, when it was replaced by this engine. Later on there was a lesser powered version of this engine which developed 92 horsepower. It feels, well, very much like a Citroen. It feels very, very soft. Everything is soft. The gear change is soft. The suspension is soft. The seat is soft. For some reason my mount is shaking around everywhere, and I do apologise for that. That's just the way that it goes on this channel. I think Mr Seabrook has a better mount than the one I have, and he's learned from his experiences of driving old Citroens. I clearly have not, because we haven't really had many old Citroens on the channel at all. The trim levels available in the Xsara Picasso were LX, SX and Exclusive. Later on the Exclusive was replaced by the VTX, and the SX was replaced by the Desire, which this is. Very simple trim structure, only 5 trims in total. One of the things I've noticed about this car is it actually has heated mirrors, which I wasn't expecting really in a car like this. I am missing the rev counter on this, but because this engine's got so much torque, obviously, you know, it's a forbidden fuel engine, so you know it would do. Then it's easy to sort of row along quite nicely. I don't know about this driving position. It feels a little bit weird to me, but it's not too bad. Going along this former bit of the A1, which is just to the north of South Mims services, it feels very good. I just wish there weren't lots of traffic ahead of me, and also wish my mount wasn't shaking around so much, but it is just the way that it goes on this channel. Right viewers, round we go at the roundabout at Bignell's Corner. That branch of the Premier Lane on the right was actually built in the 30s. Right, road's a bit clearer now. Unfortunately, we're still jumping around and I can still hear some rattles because French, as Mr Seabrook says. But the actual car underneath feels reasonably tight. The steering's not got the most feel I've ever experienced, and I'll have to drive another Peugeot 306, but I haven't driven for years, to sort of see if that is a little bit firmer to drive. It probably is. My mount is still shaking all over the place, viewers, I'm afraid, and not only do we have the mount in the way today, we've also got a dash cam in the way as well, viewers, so yes, that's interesting. So up into 5th, doing about 50. It feels okay. Very high up seated position, quite commanding really. The lack of the rev count is not too bad. The engine's actually a bit quieter than it was in the Ford Focus that we had it on No Budget Reviews back in April, I believe it was. So maybe there's a bit more sound deadening in here or something. Citroen sold this car in parallel with the C4 Picasso when that first came out, and this remained on sale for quite a long time as a value option. I mean, this this car was made 3 years after the C4 Picasso came out, so they obviously were very popular and they just kept on making them. They made them all over the place. We'll look at that a little while once I return the car to Wayne. But yes, it's interesting. You know, I can see, particularly with a family, and one of the reasons why Wayne has bought this car is to fit all his family into it. And you know, Mr Seabrook now has his lady friend and her children as part of his life. So something like this, you'd be able to fit them all in. You get very good fuel economy. Wayne says it's about 50 to 55 miles per gallon or more sometimes. I can see why this would appeal to people with that kind of sort of mindset. For me, well, we can't really talk about these forbidden fuel cars on the channel. This isn't really the sort of car that I think would be the best for me. I think it needs something a little bit sort of shorter, less tall, and something with a nice petrol engine that's Watch Limited Zone compliant, because, well, this one isn't. So yeah, that would be a slight concern. But I can see why people bought these in their sort of thousands when they were new, and they are very, very, very cheap. So maybe that's something to consider as well. So viewers, the legendary Citroen Xsara Picasso, as approved of by Ian Seabrook, as you saw on the channel maybe a year ago. He almost bought one of these. They were made in quite a few places, in Vigo in Spain, in Cairo in Egypt, Porto Real in Brazil, Wuhan in China, not that anyone's ever heard of Wuhan of course, and the Citroen plant in Rennes, which is in France. Should you buy one of these? Well, it's not really my kind of thing, but I do understand if somebody would want one of these. Wayne's got a particularly nice example here, and it's got, you know, all kinds of little things that he's done to it. He even put sort of LED number plate lights and fog lights in it, as well as the side light bulbs. So it's looking better, and it's in remarkably good condition for a car like this. They're not very expensive, parts are reasonably cheap, but you do have to watch, particularly this DLD 4.16 or DV6 engine, of course. But yeah, thank you ever so much indeed for watching this episode of No Budget Reviews, accidental HubNut rip-off edition. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to subscribe to the HubNut channel if this is the sort of thing that excites you. Don't forget to like this video and to leave a comment below, and just don't say anything about the forbidden fuel. I do know we don't talk about them, but you know, at the moment I'm just in blissful ignorance, and you know, enjoying my time pretending that I'm Ian Seabrook, but I know I'm not. Social media links are down below, and yes, really appreciate you watching No Budget Reviews.